I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first on the agenda is citizens' comments. At this time, you can come up and address the city council and myself or anything that is not on the agenda. Any citizens' comments? I think
I do.
we have one here. Please state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Lori Steinecker and I live at 2420 Augusta Avenue. Yes. And I am here on behalf of Promote Payette. We would like to have a mayoral forum on the 29th for just the mayoral candidates, and we've asked Flo to come and broadcast it. There's an agenda in there. We'd like it to go from 6:30 to about 8. It would depend on the number of audience questions that we get. You'd each get 3 minutes to introduce yourself, and then Promote is going to have our followers suggest questions. And so the top 3 questions that our followers give, we're going to give you each 3 minutes to respond to those questions. And then we'll have questions from the candidate member, from the audience. And you can each have 2 minutes to respond to those. So if you would like to come, we've reserved the high school auditorium. And I cannot promise cookies or anything, but if you want, I can maybe make brownies if you really want. Come on.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I'm Marie McGee at 2614 Driftwood Drive. We have a water issue again.
Has it been persistent, or was it just at one time?
Just today.
Just today?
It started this morning.
Were they doing any construction up there? My water guys here? My water guys are not here.
Doing citywide flushing also that started last week.
Okay, so it's possible that it will go away. Has it gotten better since we did the major flushing?
Yeah,
3 months ago?
yeah, it had been, it was better until this morning, and then it was really bad. No, not again.
Yeah, I think with the lower zone flushing, it might have picked up some turbulence. We're hoping actually after they're done with the asphalt for the Piper 5, that it should settle down. We hope. If not, we are going to get the engineers involved to figure out what the solution is. Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Delise, come on up.
Do you need my home or the work address?
Your name and
You put your feet to
sure,
the fire
whatever you're
either way.
talking.
My employees are concerned because the chamber's not able to do a Halloween costume contest, and they would like to volunteer to have a Halloween costume contest at the library on the 31st at 4:30.
Good idea.
And we are going to figure it out and come up with some prizes, so that's
Awesome.
what we're gonna do.
Any other citizens' comments? Okay, hearing none, we got communications, Payette Soil and Water, America 250 Idaho is in there as well. Any questions on those?
Do we have ideas what we want to do?
I think that's one of the biggest things on those is you do have to have some sort of idea of what to do. So I'm open for ideas. In order to apply for the grant, you have to have some sort of plan to use the $2,500. So if you guys come up with that idea, feed it back to us, and we can apply for that. I think we have till December 31st to apply for the $2,500. All right, approval of minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the minutes of regular meeting minutes of 10/6/25.
Second. First and second to approve the regular meeting minutes of 10/6/2025. Any further discussion?
On number 4, the resolution, was it, I thought it said music action. Was it music auction?
Yeah, it's a music auction.
Okay, but I thought the original one said music action or.
It said music.
Right, but I thought it said action instead of auction.
Should say auction.
It could be my dyslexia too.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of payables.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve bills and payables in the amount of $439,780.60.
First and second to approve bills and payables in the amount of $439,780.60. Any further discussion? Bobby?
I have some questions.
I'm assuming the ones in the yellow are for new budget year?
Old budget.
Old budget year?
I think so, I don't know how,
Okay,
no, new budget.
new budget, okay. So I did have a question then on the Idaho Press, it's for it's in the new budget, but it was for the old budget. And then Massengale Laws, it says September, October, so one should be in September, one should be in October, new budget year, I'm guessing.
I think those are good.
And the Young Inspection, it can't be for the new budget year because we're not done with October yet for him to submit a bill.
Submit a bill, are you talking about for, I haven't been paid since July, I just.
Right, it has July and August in there, and then it has September and October combined. But September and October would need to be split because October would be for the new budget year. September
When did the
would be.
new, yeah, I can do that, I'm happy.
No, that,
No,
you're fine.
You're fine.
It's just the way we pay it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
I
I
mean,
do
you're
have,
not fine.
I'm a bad biller for an attorney, you will find out, I'm like the worst at billing, you know?
No, I'm pretty bad myself.
and then Young, did you get Young Inspections?
I
Has
pay
to be
well,
for
right,
the last
right,
budget
I
year.
pay twice.
And then I do have a question about Lifeline. I didn't know that we were doing that. So I guess if we could get some explanation or answers on that and what we're doing.
Yeah, we did sign up for Lifelike. All the employees, spouses, and dependents, were covered for, I don't have the number right off the top of my head. Is that what it was?
Yes.
So council's included in that since they're an employee?
Correct.
So do we get cards? Did we have an agreement we had to sign? I guess.
If we get cards, I haven't heard anything on those. I haven't heard anything on
Okay.
the cards, on Lifelike cards. I can do a follow-up with them because I haven't heard anything back from since September on that. So I'll need to get more information.
Okay,
Is that an annual fee? I'm sorry, Bob.
no,
An
it's,
annual fee?
Yeah, it was a one-time fee for annual, that is correct.
and we're taking that from
The departments.
the department.
Each-
So they
yeah.
budgeted enough, even though,
There's $4,000, we can find $4,000 to
Okay.
pay for that.
all right. Let me see if I had anything else.
For what it's worth, that's the best insurance out
Oh,
there.
it
Oh,
is.
it's the.
We had it, so
When
that's why
I
I
see
just,
personal
yeah.
injury cases and they don't have that, it's
Mhm.
usually where all the money goes, so.
Mhm.
It's my two
And,
cents.
oh, RCG, is that was that an agreement we had with Bob to reimburse him back for where? 16, okay, that's what I thought, but. That was it for me.
Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Figurecheck,
Yes.
Steinecker,
Yes.
Key,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now, I would like to ask the council to add, county sheriff to give their, presentation about the jail bond, as the first, item on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move we add a new number 1 item to the agenda to have the Payette Sheriff's Department give the presentation about the jail.
I'll second the amendment to the agenda.
Now, first and second to amend the agenda and add the Payette County Sheriff to be number 1 and every other one move subsequent. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Sheriff Creech, come on down. You've been approved.
Thank you. Did bring some information for you guys here. Appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you guys about the jail planning that we've been doing over the last couple of years. We started planning for the master facility planning for our courthouse back in January of '24. And we used a citizens committee to help in that process, but we also interviewed all of our staff. We put out a survey to citizens and we collected information. And then a recommendation was given to the county commissioners last December. And following that, we started on phase 1 of that plan to start looking at a jail facility. In that master facility planning stage, we had a architect who took in and looked at the needs that they projected for our jail system, our jail facility, and what they recommended, in my opinion and in discovery, was less than what we needed for what the life of the bond would be. But they recommended a 125-bed jail for $54 to $76 million. We knew at the time that was as we started crunching what that would cost per citizen, we knew that that number would likely be too high for people to afford. And so I did some research on it and came with a more modular designed jail facility that would bring us to a level where we could have enough beds to last us for the 20 to 30 year bond and significantly reduce that cost. So what we're proposing is a 230 bed jail facility that would last for the 20 to 30 years and a full sheriff's office, and with a cost of about $40 million. The surveys that we did this summer indicated that there was significant support for a bond measure to be put on the ballot, and our commissioners put that on the ballot. And so on November 4th, that'll come up for vote for our public. And we've been, since early summer, we've been trying to meet with as many different groups as possible to talk with them. One of the biggest issues in our jail facility is that we're continuing to fail our annual inspections from the Idaho Sheriff's Association. We failed the last 3 years' inspections, and given the numbers of overpopulation, especially in our protective custody, our women's housing, and our maximum inmates, we're likely to fail again when we get inspected this next spring. We've continued to work with our prosecutor and the judges to maintain our numbers of inmates to try to bring that number down. But we're really at a point where we have reduced as much as we can. One of the things that we've implemented is pretrial release, and we have put over 300 people out on pretrial release with, I believe, about 80% of them being felons, people charged with felonies. And it's concerning the number of people that we're releasing out that we used to keep in custody. In addition to that, we routinely meet with the prosecutor and our judges and discuss the inmates that we've kept in jail, that the judges have decided to keep in custody. And we continue to go over those inmates and discuss them and then release further inmates to help try to reduce that down. One of the issues that we face that extends beyond Payette County is that when a person is charged with a felony, they're a county inmate up until the day they're sentenced. And when they're sentenced, that day they become a state inmate. The state does not have room to take those inmates out of our facility. And they represent about 20% of the inmates that we're holding. And so when you look at our population that's ranging up to about 80 inmates, 20% of them are state inmates. Even if we removed the state inmates, we would likely still be overpopulated in our protective custody, women's, and maximum cells. And so even taking the state inmates out of our facility, we would likely still be failing because the inspections are not done on the maximum capacity of the jail, which is 69 inmates. It's done on a per cell basis. And we just don't have room to put these inmates. On top of the overcrowding, the jail facility is starting to have, and has had for numerous years, issues, especially when it comes to our plumbing, that we're continually taking and repairing and digging up and replacing collapsed pipes and stuff like that. And then we have issues in the older part of the jail where there's a requirement to have daylight into the cells, and there is no way to bring daylight in. It would take you'd have to rebuild that part of the jail to make it comply with the standards as they are today. And so, we're really just working on trying to improve that. Some of the things that the Citizens Committee reviewed was numerous different plans and locations for that jail facility. And one thing that was determined is that in order to build it on the current lot that we have, it would take up basically that whole southern end of the lot. And then after building it, there would be no room for future expansion. So in 20 to 30 years, we would likely be looking to build from the ground up somewhere else. One of the ideas that was given to the Citizens Committee to consider was the old landfill property that we own between Center and 7th off Payette Heights. And really, I think when I remember the conversations that we had with the Citizens Committee, I think that the realization was we needed to put it at a different location because it wouldn't fit where we are at currently. And then also in the mindset of reducing costs. I know there's been a lot of conversation in the last couple of town halls and discussions that I've had with citizens about location, but I want to make sure it's clear that the county has not decided on a location. And when you look at the distance from the current city services along 7th to where that location is at, that it's likely the cost of extending services would be more than what it would cost to buy a new piece of property that would be more adjacent to city services. And so if the bond was to be passed, there would be studies and stuff done, and then we would, in my opinion, we would likely be looking for different property to put it on. At this time, I'm not clearly convinced that landfill property is where it's actually going to end up at, because I think that the cost of utilizing that property is going to be too great of an expense, and there's likely other property that we could look to purchase, and it would be a cheaper expense for us to use. Those decisions have not been made yet. And the county is wanting to interact with the citizens. We've been doing that the last couple of years. And in the purchasing of property and placing of it, there will be public hearings and public meetings, but there will be opportunities for citizens to give input. And I really want to just express that the county is wanting to work with the citizens and the city of Payette to try to find a location where we can put this, and we can improve the service that we're offering and the security of the jail facility itself. I'll pause if there's any questions that maybe the council has.
A simple one. The 20% that the state that you have to charge, do they pay us for that or not?
Yes. So the state pays us $55 for the first 7 days and $75 after that per day per inmate. The cost is about $80 a day per inmate. And so at no time do they actually pay the cost. The average cost in Idaho is $140 a day per inmate. And we're working with the legislature in the coming year to revise that. That statute should be revised every 3 years, and it's time to revise that. And so we're looking at opportunities to revise how much that is. There is, like the Marshal Service, that'll pay over $100 a day. There's an opportunity because you build a jail facility for the life of the bond. So really we're looking at capacity we could expect in 20 to 30 years from now. In the first several years, there should be beds that are not being used, and we can rent those out. So even at the $75 a day per inmate, is potentially we could bring in about $2 million of revenue a year. And when you look at the bond we had previously, the commissioners used that money to not only offset operational costs, but they used that money to pay that bond off early. And so it was paid off by 2018, and we were able to pay that bond off early. And I would suspect that our current commissioners would use that extra revenue to do the similar things to help offset the cost of operations, so it doesn't increase levy rates and taxes, but also to pay on that bond early. That wouldn't necessarily reduce what we pay per year, per $100,000 worth of property value, but it would reduce the length of time that we're paying that by paying it off early.
Sheriff Reed's one question on that, you said bringing $2 million in revenue, and is that, so what is the cost if you were to fill your 200 and so many beds? If you were to fill that right away with state inmates or federal inmates, how much would you actually have to expend in personnel, operating overhead, right? Out of that $2 million that you could potentially bring in?
It's a good question, and I don't have an exact answer, but what I can tell you is that our current facility isn't built in an efficient manner. We can go from a 69-bed facility to a 230-bed facility with adding maybe as little as 5 or 6 more deputies to run it. There would be an increase in the cost for the meals, and there would be an increase in the medical expense as well. So there would be some increases there as well, but really those would be the increases that we would likely see. There might be some decreases because in the new facility, it's really hard to maybe imagine, but the toilets and sinks that we use in a jail facility, they run off of electricity and networking, and you can control those toilets by shutting them off, putting them on timers and stuff like that, where inmates can't just go in and repeatedly flush and flush and flush till they flood their cells, which would help reduce some of the utility bills that we're even paying, plus hopefully reducing some of the bills that we're paying to plumbers that I think in 24 we spent about $19,000. And so there would be some savings in some other areas to help offset it. But it really, this would be a much more efficient facility, so I think we could run it without really adding that many more staff members, which would be the largest cost.
First of all, thanks for coming tonight. Secondly, when you fail inspections, can you give us some examples of what you fail for?
Certainly. Pretty much everything that's mandatory we're failing is for overpopulation. Overpopulation of individual cells, overpopulation of holding cells, and there's a third cell, but it's overpopulation. The 3 different sections where that's highlighted in the standards, and we're failing all of those. There's the recommended, which is the 4th one, is the daylight. And in the newer portion of the jail, it was built in '99, there is daylight into those cells. In the 1972 portion, there is no daylight. It's concrete walls with a concrete top. There's a gap to the concrete roof. And in order for us to get daylight in there, we'd have to core drill both. And it has a low ceiling, so anything we do is definitely within access of the inmates. And so it causes security risks to try to really address that issue.
So, if the new jail is built, when the new jail is built, what will happen to the old jail?
That's a really good question. The Citizens Committee, the recommendation they gave to the commissioners was a 3-phase approach. The first phase is building the new jail facility. The second phase is building a court annex, and the third phase is expanding the jail in the future. When you look at the courthouse, we've really maximized the space in there, and I think we have people working in vaults now, or we have had for a while. And the last space that we transitioned was the janitor's closet that we made into a lobby area for the public defenders. And at that time, we were contracting for janitorial service, but then we moved back to having a custodian on site, but then no longer had room for all of their supplies because we transitioned that space to something different. We've really done what we could, and we've spent a lot of money like remodeling a space for a new purpose, and then as things change, remodeling again for a new purpose. And we've really just tried to maximize the space that's in that building, and there's just not much more we can do with it.
So would this money pay for those remodelings, or would that be a separate cost?
It'd be a separate cost down the road.
Yeah.
And so what we're looking at right now is just building a new jail facility in sheriff's office. When my office moves out of the courthouse, then the space, whatever space I'm able to leave behind will get repurposed from people that need to expand or change. I can see where the old big pod cells might get repurposed for something different, being that they won't be holding inmates. And so I can see in the meantime that space will be used for some different purposes than what it is today, up until at some point in the future that we'll look at needing to make an addition onto the courthouse.
Thank you. Will dispatch also move up there with you?
If we're able to, it would be easier for all of my unit to stay together. And so wherever we end up at, it would be easier for me if we all moved as a group. But I think one of the hard part when you're looking at planning a facility like this, there's a lot of unknowns. And so we're asking for $40 million. We can't spend more than $40 million. And so as we're going into the project, there's a likelihood that maybe all the things I would like to be included don't actually get included. And so we'll have to make some hard decisions about what stays in the courthouse and what goes. My priority is the jail facility. The jail facility is what's failing. And so I would want to keep the jail facility whole. And if I have to split my staff between a couple locations, that's what I'll do.
Any other questions? Thanks, Joe Creed.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Second item on the agenda, task order number 8, airport lighting improvements, Keller and Associates. Preface this, I left it on the agenda, and it's the same number because they had a meeting at 4:30 to kind of walk through it. But I did want to clarify something that on last meeting that was incorrect. According to the grant documents that I saw as of today, there's actually $32,500 put into the grant for engineering and design, and permitting and compliance in the amount of $15,000. Just to clarify that. Justin, come on.
Mayor, members of the City Councils, good to be with you tonight. Justin Walker with Keller Associates. Yeah, Mayor, I just thought I'd give a little background on our former scope and fee before we talk about some of the discussions we had earlier, right before this meeting. But as you said, the grant agreement included budget for the amounts that the mayor's talked about. So I think, and honestly, I think we were on a different understanding as far as what the level of effort that the project would entail. One of the components, a couple of components in the project documentation, the grant agreement, are pretty straightforward. The lighting for the taxiway and the runway are relatively straightforward. But then there was a line item for $100,000 for electrical upgrades, and that's the piece that was a little uncertain. Does that mean replacing all the electrical panels in the service? Or, what did that entail? And so, all that said, at the end of the day, we want you to get as much money in the ground as you possibly can with the grant and stretch that, and we're all in favor of that. So, speaking with, I don't have in front of you or for you tonight a revised task order because we just were on site with Fraser earlier today, but here's kind of the plan that we feel like makes most sense for the city to best utilize your funds. There is a little uncertainty about what the condition of the wire is, what the condition of the conduit that services all the existing the runway lighting. And so if it's truly as simple as replacing the lighting for the runway and the existing conduit and the wire, there's a junction box next to every one of those lights right now. And they're in different conditions. Some are bent over, some are open, some of the wire has been stripped, protective coating. But if it's as simple as changing the lights, then that's really a simple project from an engineering standpoint. At the end of the day, it would seem prudent for the council or for the city to put out a set of documents that can be quite simple, but so that every contractor bids the project in the same way. The thresholds for the contract, at least as estimated in the grant agreement, would require a public bidding process. And so, as we move through the project, if that's not the case, because we have better information, the project gets simpler and the estimated cost is less, there's a $250,000 threshold that requires a public advertisement for construction. If that threshold is not exceeded, then that can be simpler too. All that said, if when we get into some of the panel review and things like that, and do some field testing on the existing conduit and more of the wiring, it becomes apparent there needs to be more upgrades made to the wiring and things like that in the panels. Then, of course, that will be a little more effort. So I guess in conclusion, what I would propose we do, and what we discussed with Fraser, is we have kind of a basic services task, which really will assume that the panels and the service and the conduit and wiring are in acceptable condition. And that will be evaluating that will be part of that basic services. Essentially, we'll be putting together bidding documents for replacing the lighting for the runway and the taxiway, and doing a basic evaluation of the existing infrastructure, make sure it's in good working condition and adequate for the lighting improvements. That would be kind of a basic services, and we'll provide an estimate for the engineering for that. And then we could add an optional task that includes doing electrical upgrades for the service and the panels and things like that. If it becomes apparent that those are needed, but we'd only do that if they're needed. And then we could also include an additional task to add a component not outlined in the grant agreement, which is a PAPI, and we can get into the details of that. But so that's what seemed to be the best approach, to stretch your dollars as far as they possibly could go, but still provide coverage for you, so that if something is needed from an engineering standpoint, you have a task order and a fee proposal to do that. If you'd rather, we could just come to you with the basic services, which would again assume the panels and the service and the wiring are all in acceptable condition, and then if they aren't, we can come back and request an amendment to add that. So really, it's up to you, whatever you want to do. I think that's kind of a summary of what we discussed today. Fraser, yeah, did we do all right? So
would it be best if we move this to the next meeting agenda, and then you can have a revised task order? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was expecting. We don't really have anything to present to you. I just wanted to give you an update of what we discussed today, and then respond to maybe some of the questions or concerns that was raised at the last meeting. Does that sound like a reasonable approach?
Yes, it does.
Okay, do you have a preference whether you want us to come with a task order that has kind of a basic services, then optional tasks that you would only authorize if they're needed? Or you want us just to come with the basic services and then come back if those additional services are needed as we evaluate the existing?
It's more work is that for you to do. I mean, we can start with the basic. If we don't like that, you can come back, or if you think it's simpler to do them all the time, I don't care.
Well, generally, to me, it would be simpler to have those options in there, but only authorized by whoever you want to authorize to those optional tasks if they're needed. If they're not needed, then of course they wouldn't be completed and never invoiced for. So might be easier for you rather than coming back multiple times, but I'm happy to be either way.
Sounds reasonable.
Thank you. Any questions? Excellent. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is pay up number 6, 20 Smith Reservoirs after Inc., $171,511.57. Last pay up for the reservoir.
This is the retainage, isn't it?
Pretty sure this is retainage. Justin? Do we still have retainage out there?
We do. Look like it was still on there.
There is. I will just tell you, there is still a retainage. There's one final pay application. Once the final certificate of completion is issued, I will say, based on our meeting, we're there, so you'll probably see that next meeting. But but there is still retainage. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve pay request number 6 to Tapany Inc. in the amount of $171,511.57 for the 20th Street Reservoir.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second to approve pay app number 6 for 20th Street Reservoir to Stephanie Inc. in an amount of $171,511.57. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Black.
Yes.
Wickersham.
Yes.
Steinecker. Yes. Key.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, next on the agenda, independent contractor agreement between Payette Fire and John Tyler Starr, MD. Annual agreement with the doctor that allows us to do EMS services. Nothing changed, right, Chief?
Just the date.
Just the date.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the independent contractor agreement between the City of Payette Fire Department and John Starr, MD.
Second.
I have a first and a second to approve the independent contract agreement between Payette Fire and John Tyler Starr, MD. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, let's call the roll. There is that amount.
Second.
Franklin.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Wickersham.
Yes.
Steinecker. Yep. Key.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, rural fire agreement. The lawyers looked this over and I believe they changed it in order for us to reimburse rural for paying for shift workers. Any questions on it?
I'm gonna ask the chief, the world has seen this.
Yes, seen the rough copy. Willie's hunting right now, so he'll
Okay.
sign it when he gets back.
Okay.
There should only be one copy floating around too. As rough as it is this one.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve agreement for provisions of fire service with the City of Payette and Payette Rural Fire Department.
Second.
A first and a second to approve the modification of the agreement for provision of fire service between the City of Payette and Payette Rural Fire. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Key.
Yes.
Wickersham.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Steinecker.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, Allied Business Solutions for Police and City Hall copier agreements. I don't 100% agree that we are leasing copiers, but it has been the way that the city has done it for a long time, and we really can't afford to buy them. So I believe we have to continue with the way we're doing it. And it gives us a discount in comparison to what we're paying today. That's why we're entering into the contract.
So are these the actual agreements? Or is this just
That's their
proposal?
Did we check into other, or did we just go with Allied?
Honestly, I mean, I didn't push the check into other because it's how we've been doing it, and they're all pretty standard, and like I said, I'd much rather buy them.
There really aren't that many in this area that do that.
I'd much rather buy a copier and buy our own toner or do something different, but
It's hard to find anybody that doesn't wanna lease them anymore, just from my knowledge of the business.
We lease one from Allied.
Yeah,
So
I'm in the
we
same
have-
boat, I like to own two, they own something.
So we approve an agreement we don't have?
This is just, it's showing you what the difference is between what the current amount was and what their new proposal is. This is just this is like what I received from them as well, it's just kind of the start. So if there is an agreement that you have and you want to have an agreement, then I'm happy to draft one up, but I don't think it's necessary, because this is just telling you, hey, on the one that you've got, I don't know, the Toshiba E-Studio, I don't know which place, the police department, I guess. Police department is gonna be saving $79. It's a good one, yeah. In fact, can you guys negotiate for me next time?
So we're just approving
determine the account reviews that we have in our packet, is that
Yeah.
what I'm understanding?
That's,
Okay.
I haven't seen any other agreement.
Okay.
And
No good.
this may be as simple as they have it, and just send an invoice out on it.
Just agreeing with the payment
Yep.
terms.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agreements with Allied Business Solutions for police and the city of Payette.
And first and second to approve the agreements with Allied Business Solutions to continue the copier lease agreement and save money. Looks like the first one is, new estimated monthly is $366.98 per month, and then the second is $569.66 a month. That is the motion. Staff got that? Added a little bit on there, but. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Keith,
Yes.
Steinecker,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Wiggersham,
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we introduce ordinance 1571 by title only.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second to introduce ordinance 1571 by title only. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance 1571, an ordinance of the city of Payette, Idaho, amending the Payette Municipal Code, section 12.05.070, bonding requirements of Title 12, streets and sidewalks, streets, sidewalks, and parks, in chapter 12.05, encroachment permits, to increase minimum bond requirements and an effective date, allowing publication in summary form, and establishing severability, and establishing a repealer. That is the ordinance. So it came to my attention. So in my personal experience, being a contractor with the city, I was told that we had to have a $20,000 bond. So I thought that that was the standard. And I've always had a $20,000 bond for working in the right of way. Apparently the standard is 12, or not 12, 2,000. So somebody added a zero on me. But going back to it, $2,000, if somebody messes up the right of way, doesn't go very far.
How far back does that go? Because that's,
Probably 92, I don't know. So $20,000 is what I was told. I thought it was reasonable then, 5 years ago, and it's really not that expensive to have that bond, and it gives the city a lot better standing if somebody fails to do the work within the right of way. So that is why this comes forward.
What's a $20,000 bond cost?
Cost me $150 a year.
$150 a year.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable, and the bonding market's one of those that you really don't want your bonds ever pulled, because that's where the punishment really comes from. But it's very cheap insurance.
It was last changed in 2007. Yeah.
So 20 years ago.
Yeah.
97 to me is 2007.
I had a question in the section bonding required. So should it say including but not limited to paving companies, general contractors? I'm not the lawyer.
I'm sorry, which paragraph?
So 12.05070 bonding required. So the first line says all commercial enterprises including paving companies, blah, blah, blah. So I was just wondering if it should be including but not limited to, if that's wording that was needed in there.
Yeah, I would rather have that in
Okay, I'm learning.
there. You're good.
Yeah.
Nice work.
And then further down, it says that, changing it to 20,000. It says the minimum amount of the bond required in this section may be adjusted by the city engineer. So my question is, that's not clear to me. Can it be adjusted up or can it be adjusted down? In my black and white world.
As it's written, it could be adjusted either way.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe, instead of the word adjusted, increased instead of adjusted.
Well, I think there could be some cases that you might want to adjust the bond down, but in this case, I wouldn't say in reality that somebody would come and say, I don't want to get a $20,000 bond, I just want to get a $12,000 bond for this, because you're bonding for the city itself, and each bond is attached to whatever entity you're bonding for. So I don't think it would really matter. If you're working in the right of way, you gotta have a bond.
I think you ought to be able to adjust it either way unless there's some reason you want to only adjust up. Like say, if you want to set that as a minimum, we could even put language that it's a minimum of $20,000 in there, but.
See, I was just asking.
No, you're doing great. Keep coming.
I get a star.
I don't have any stickers.
A gold like that.
And I guess, do
Oh,
we,
he gave you a star.
do we really wanna allow cash? I mean, in lieu of a bond, could you give the city $20,000 cash and make them keep it in their vault until the project's done? Is that how that would work?
You know, honestly, I think it would be worse if you didn't allow somebody to give the city cash.
Okay.
Because
All right.
you would say that their cash isn't worth anything.
He brought in 20,000 cash and then the next day he brought in the bond to switch it out. But
You may have somebody that doesn't want to pay the insurance company that's cash
Yeah.
rich enough that just says, here's the $20,000.
$20,000 check.
Yeah, and then they get it all done as opposed to.
No check.
We don't take checks.
No checks, no money orders, just cash.
It says cash.
So we wanna make those changes and move to a second reading?
Or we can make the changes and
Changes and pass it. Those changes. I think the only change was made is all Laura suggested on
including but not limited to.
That's the only one.
So I guess the next one is, Mr. Mayor, I move we suspend the rules to allow passage of ordinance 1571 on its first reading.
with the changes.
That was the next one.
No, we can change it. You're fine now. So first and a second to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 1571 with the changes of including but not limited to under 12.05.70. Was it the full motion? I think that's full motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move ordinance 1571 do pass.
Second.
First and second, that ordinance 1571 be passed. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Black,
Yes.
Stranaker,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Wickersham,
Yes.
Keith.
Yes.
Motion carries. It is official. Jim Franklin has done his full ordinance on motions.
Give him a star.
Heck yeah.
That's so perfect.
All right. Next on the agenda, I think it's supposed to say personnel, but a little spelling error. Building inspector. So Bobby, you asked for this? Go ahead.
Well, I did because I had some questions about it when we found out that Corey had left. My first thought was, okay, do we need to hire a building inspector for the office right away? Or can we renegotiate with Young to do it because we're in our slow time of the year for building? And then my second part of that was the agreement that we would have had with Corey to repay us back. And I wanted the entire council to know what my thought process was on that.
So with the agreement for him to pay us back, the idea was once he was fully qualified that that would start that timing. Who knew that he would leave us this early? But so no, I don't plan on clawing that back from him. The $2,000 it cost to send him down there, or $3,000, however much it was. I don't know. I just didn't.
I guess when we signed an agreement with the police department, when they go to post and they come back and they leave us in, we've collected from them.
I think in my opinion, if he got another building inspection job, I'd feel different. But he went back to his prior career, so maybe I'm being too lenient on him. But
Was it written?
no, we have verbal agreement.
Those are hard to enforce.
Yep.
So why do we do them then, if they're hard to enforce?
I don't know.
I would not advise that.
A verbal agreement is hard to enforce, is what he said.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
no,
Yeah, verbal
no.
agreement.
Okay, because I'm like,
I'm sorry.
okay,
No, the agreement.
we were talking two different things, okay.
But, you know, in those circumstances, too,
Okay.
the other thing you have to figure is he gonna pay it, and how far do you wanna go down that road
Okay.
attached?
For $2,000.
For $2,000,
Yeah.
you may end up spending more on
More
legal
than that
fees.
to get
than-
it back.
Yeah,
Okay,
I see that happen a lot, it's called blood out of a turnip.
so we learned our lesson then.
Get it in writing, though,
Yep.
that's gonna get,
Absolutely.
every
Okay.
other one of them going
Sure.
forward should be in writing, and then we do have, an agreement that is enforceable.
But as for not hiring one, I would say we renegotiated with Tony Young and then we are down to 50%. We're retaining 50% on residential. We're giving him 50% on residential. In order to get down to that level, it was because our in-house building inspector could do foundation inspections. And then we also got commercial down to 60% based on the fact that our in-house building inspector could at least do foundations to a certain extent on commercial. If we don't hire, I would say Tony's probably not going to continue to do the service at what we have, and I really just don't think that that's the way that we should move forward. Honestly, I want to find somebody that's certified and qualified to do the job, and I want to renegotiate the contract with Tony. Yeah.
My thought process, again, $65,000 a year for a building inspector, plus benefits are at $100,000.
We kept
How
83,000. We kept 83,000, and we renegotiated the contract in February. So we kept 83,000 through February to the end of September after we renegotiated. So I absolutely think it will pay for itself. Now, if building stops tomorrow, we have the same problem. We have $300,000 built into the general fund in revenue. So I think we're going to have more of a problem than just having a building inspector in.
I'm just thinking with the slow season coming up, we all know winter is slower for a building, for everything, so.
I think if that's the case, I think we got time to look, because I think we're in a hurry to place it.
Like I said, we got to find somebody that's certified and qualified, and that might be a tall order.
So it might take a while to find them, so if
It
we
might.
post it now, it might take a while to find them.
Because as of right now, I don't know anybody that's certified, so we are going to post it.
Well, and Tony does a good job from what I've seen so far, so.
No, Tony does good, but Tony also has 9 municipalities, so
He has what?
nine contracts
Oh,
between
really?
municipalities and counties. So, and it's just him and one other right now. So really, I don't think we'll get the service that we're wanting, because we've been wanting better service from building inspection services, right, for the past 5 years since I was on the council. We've all kind of wanted that. And we really need to bring that in-house and keep that in-house to keep that quality up.
So this is listed as
I think it was supposed to be listed as an action item, but
it is on your.
it is an action item.
Bobby just asked for discussion.
Ultimately, we'll go forward and post it and see what comes out of the woodwork. Hopefully make a good choice, one that stays here for 4 years.
So we will know when that happens, or when it's thinking about it, or?
It'll be posted as soon as we get the job description written out, because we never did have a job description written for the position. So, once the job description is written, you will see it go out. And tell your friends to apply. Go get certified.
We want somebody to take care
Good building inspector. See it shaking her head back there. All right, anything more on that? All right, moving on. Discussion on code regarding subdivision streetlights. I believe this is Mikey.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the discussion. I think I was charged with going out and seeing if any other cities do it. I found like 3 other cities that have the ordinance. This is the one that I thought was the best. I think this one's from Eagle. You can see that they require streetlights and subdivisions at city specifications. Then they leave the payment for the streetlights and the maintenance for the streetlights to the homeowners association. It would be a way to, I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it would be a way to control general fund costs as we go forward. I mean, if you ever look at the bills, we have a huge streetlight bill already that we pay Idaho Power. This would be a small way to control that in the future.
So just a question for you, in your research, are in the subdivisions, are they putting the streetlights still in the right of way, or are they putting it on the private properties?
I don't know. I didn't ask that question.
It was a question that I thought of today.
I could find out. I mean, I was trying to think of examples, because you and I have had the conversation about, requiring people to do things and then charging them for it. And, I mean, we do that with sidewalks, we do that with, I don't know, probably stormwater's not on it's probably not on our public right of way. But, we require sidewalks to be put in at our specifications, and then we leave it to the property owners to take care of it. I don't think this is any different. And I thought I had other examples when I was thinking about it, but I can't come up with them right now, because I knew you would ask.
Well, thank you for knowing me so well. I do agree with you. The city is very good at passing on costs back to the system. You 100% agree with that statement.
One way to say it.
So my problem, okay, so we know the shape of our sidewalks, right? Because the
Yes.
citizens don't. I mean, you and I have put on our little vests and walked around.
Yeah.
Or pretended to have vests. So if we put the lights under the charge of the HOA, and we know how hard it is for the HOA to collect dues, and their lights aren't maintained, and their subdivision is dark, then what happens?
Well, I imagine we have an ordinance that requires them to maintain their streetlights, and we take some kind of action.
But we have an ordinance that maintains, that they have to maintain their sidewalks, and we know how well that works.
Yeah.
So, I'm not arguing, I'm just asking.
And I think so.
I do think you need to have a remedy in here. And when I read this, I think the language in here is good. Right now, if there's a violation of code, the typical remedy is a misdemeanor and then $100 a day fine for every day that you're out of code. That's gonna be difficult to throw an HOA in jail. And so to me, if we're gonna do this, I like the idea, but guys, maybe talk about what you want the remedy to be, and I would suggest that it be a monetary penalty. You send them notice, give them some amount of time to cure it. If they haven't cured it, then you have the right to go in and cure it at their expense. And then also, every day that it's not cured beyond that day, you could put a penalty on it. But instead of a penalty, to me, it usually works better with HOAs or the public. If you're saying, look, you didn't get it done, we're not gonna let you create some unsafe condition for people walking out there, so we're gonna fix it and we're gonna levy upon the HOA. Just like what the HOA does against the property owners, if it's out in front of them, they'll levy against their property if they don't pay the fee. That's one of their rights, and then they can foreclose. But I think as far as a mechanism where you're gonna have the best chance of getting paid on it, is to do something like that, but also to avoid liability, because especially if it's within your right of way, you don't want to be, well, you have the right of way, but you're not actually taking care of the street lamps or so forth. So just saying, look, we're going to give you notice, we'll give you 7 days to come up with a plan to fix it. If you can't come up with that plan, then we're going to go in and fix it at your expense, and then you can file a lien on the HOA.
But what would you lien? Because the HOA doesn't own property.
Well, you're gonna have to. Well, the whole subdivision is owned. You have individual parcels that are owned by people, but the whole subdivision. That's the whole point of an HOA, is to say all of us that are in this area, as described by this platted subdivision, you have to take care of these. Now,
You have to
once
pay for the common expenses of like common areas and stuff like that.
So you'll send the HOA a bill, and that would be what you do for the HOA. If they don't pay it, then I guess we could go to court and they could divvy out a lien on each one of the lots. But in reality, if you fix a light for them, my guess is they're going to send out to all of them and say, hey, we need to pay for this to be fixed. They're going to have funds that come in, and they're going to prioritize the use of those funds. And I would think that you guys are gonna be more of a high priority on the use of those funds than say, you know, we wanna make sure that the neighbor's house is painted the correct color, or getting into that. When it's a safety issue and we're putting it in the code and putting that obligation on the HOA, it's a lot harder for them to argue against our ordinance. When you get into HOA battles, when you're talking about whether they're gonna pay this or that, it can be about the tone, it can be about the type of fence that's up. Those are, you don't wanna get into those battles, but this one's just simply saying, all future developers that are coming in, you know what you're gonna have to do, and the HOA is gonna be on the hook for it. So, I wouldn't see that you're gonna have any issue with that. But that's, I would rather you have the remedy in there. If you can't avail yourself of it at the end, if there's no money at the end of the day, it didn't hurt anything, but there's gonna be a lot of them that do have the money that do pay it. Or just get the notice and do it themselves as they're supposed to.
In addition to the remedy clause, I think we also need to have an indemnification clause in there. If the HOA does undertake any sort of repairs, they need to indemnify the city so that you guys are not held liable for anything that they do, especially if they're assuming ownership there, of the streetlights. So, that needs to be added too.
If you want, I'd be happy to write some of this, like kind of sit down now that I've seen it, think about it, and write some of that down and propose it to you.
So I think the purpose of tonight was to see if there's a consensus. I thought there probably was before, but to see if there's a consensus, and then yes, if there is a consensus, I hope you will help us out with that.
Yes, Sarah?
So currently, we, the city, or the streets department gets a franchise fee check from Idaho Power, which goes into their budget, which offsets the cost of the streetlights that the city pays. What will happen to that franchise fee that you guys are currently getting now to offset the streetlights? If you guys are making subdivisions pay for the streetlights, you're not gonna get that portion of money back from Idaho Power.
And the caveat, I want to see that franchise agreement.
Yeah,
before
I mean, in my opinion, the franchise agreement doesn't have anything to do with streetlights. It has to do with, I always thought franchise agreements were for working in the public right of way. You know, because the quantity of our streetlights has gone up exponentially the last, 5 years, and the franchise agreement hasn't changed.
We just got a check, I think, for over 100.
Well, but what I'm saying is, well, it's based on revenue.
We could
Yeah.
have Evan and Rachel.
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah, I'm happy. I just didn't know that little wrinkle, but let's look at that and then we can.
That was a little curious.
Yeah.
So would that franchise fee be based on the usage, Mike? I mean, how much electricity that
It's-
delivered?
What is it, 1% of gross?
3,
3% of gross?
I think if that max is 3, but I don't know exactly what that agreement is, but that's max.
Okay, is there a consensus on the council to move forward on writing this ordinance and going forward? I see yes, I see yes, I see yes, I see yes, perfect.
I think there's a lot of work to do between now and implementing it, but I'd like to see it.
Perfect. Anything else on that? Discussion, purchasing right of way on 14th Avenue North. So ultimately, looking at how well the streets department did this year and my goal to fix some of the old time problems, I was on 14th Avenue North looking at it, and I've always looked at 14th Avenue North from the west side. This time I looked at it from the east side, and kind of noticed that there's quite a bit of space on the north side of 14th Avenue North between the houses and the edge of the road. So I would like to start the discussion with the homeowners on whether or not they would sell us right away, and just send out some letters of feelers and see how they respond to potentially widening 14th Avenue North. And it's, the long-term goal is to connect 2nd Avenue North 2nd Street and that kind of whole cluster jumble area. That one's going to take a little bit of work to plan through, and but we got to widen that road before we start connecting roads back there.
Before you take a look at it, I think we need to investigate it if there's space there to do it.
Yeah, I think the first step that I'm thinking is just sending a letter of interest that the city is thinking about acquiring right away and how they would feel about it.
That one guy is gonna be our pain.
The one guy that thinks that it's worth $120,000 for his front 7 feet, yes?
He'll be there.
Bobby?
My only thought was, how busy is that street? I realize the connection, so it might not be purchasing a lot of this property, but are there other streets that need that are busy streets?
And so those collectors going back to the spur, back to North 6th Street, 10th is very busy, 7th is very busy because those are the two roads that you can get out onto the highway from. And those
I'm not
two,
against it, I'm just wondering how many other streets in town are.
but those two subdivisions are so separated, right? And that's where I'm like, some of that middle ground at the end of River Road really needs a better access to North 6th Street.
I think it depends a lot on what kind of cost we're gonna get. If they just wanna get
Yes.
fixed, that might be an advantage to them to do it.
Ultimately, I'm thinking, I mean, we offer them $500 for the ground and can move
Well,
forward.
maybe you got a
you
new
know?
street.
That's- Would you be willing to give up 10 feet of your front lawn for a new street and potentially curb better sidewalk?
I'm all in favor of that, yeah.
All right, then we'll move forward on that one, kind of feel it out. Next, discussion on speed bumps in the city streets. So a few months ago, I wanted to actually put a town hall together, and we've just gotten so busy because of the time of year that it is. So I kind of wanted to get the consensus from the council. I know we've talked about speed humps, speed bumps, speed, all this stuff. And I don't know, maybe we talked about this prior, but I think we worked in Boise last winter, quite a few months through the winter, and they have really speed humps rather than speed bumps, and pretty well placed. And I think Jamie put one up. Did you put one up? Where did you put one up at?
We put up in Newland.
Up in Newland?
In the past, we put one up there.
Yeah.
But
And-
is it gone?
Yeah, we had to pull it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
No speed.
The popularity wasn't real great.
Yeah.
And the snowplow, if I remember.
Yeah, that one up there wasn't a speed bump, but it wasn't a speed hump. It was in between.
Yeah.
So, but still, we did pull it out because we had a lot of complaints of rattling trucks mainly going over it. But
Yeah. I remember there was a lot of people that wanted it, and then once they put it in, there was more people that didn't want it. Yeah.
people wanted it, but then people didn't want it in front of their house. So they wanted it in front of somebody else's house. So.
I think, you know, if you find yourself in Boise, go drive around some of the old residential and look at the speed humps that they have pretty much anywhere on the east end. It kind of makes sense, and it slows people down, especially on some of those true residential streets. We have a big problem with speeders in this town, and obviously we can only enforce it so hard. We can't catch everybody speeding, is what the chief always tells me. But I think it's something to think about. I'd like you guys, if you do get to Boise, look at it, and then essentially I would like to do a town hall and see what the citizens think about it. It could be something that could help us slow people down. The biggest thing is it will kind of impact the threshold of snow plowing. We'd have to raise the threshold of snow plowing from 3 inches to probably 4 or 6 to make sure that we're not damaging the snowplow equipment. But you got to give and take on these kind of issues. So I want you guys to think on that for a couple cycles, and then we maybe put a town hall meeting together sometime in December.
Where are you thinking? Just everywhere, or?
Mainly, you're talking about like the square, like our old grid,
Okay.
our old grid town. You know, we have a lot of stop signs and stuff in place over there, but that doesn't seem to be controlling people that are you know,
Like by West.
exhibition of speed and that kind of stuff. Yeah, like Westlake, that old grid part of town. And it's really utilized in Boise, not on your collectors, but on your side streets to slow people down on those traffic patterns that aren't a main street. Something I think they did well, because honestly, I don't see a lot of speeding. I didn't see a lot of speeding while I was doing work for them.
Mr. Mayor, then what, do they have issues with their snowplows?
Well, I don't think Boise gets as much snow as we do, so I think that's why I would say that threshold would have to change. And honestly, how often do we get 6 inches of snow in a night? Every year, it's not every year that we're getting snow on the ground that much.
Right. And it just depends on the size of the bump we're talking, right? We plow over the ones in Centennial Park. Now that we lessen them, they're not as bad. But before, yes, when they're real steep, they'll break a plow over. So, or you rip them out. So there again, you got to determine how high this bump's going to be for us to go over them. So if they're a gradual bump, like I think the ones in Boise, they're not a big bump, right?
They're a very gradual up,
gradual
and then
up,
flat,
and then back down. They're flat top ones. So
if you hit them, you jump a little bit.
Right.
If you don't slow down for them, you will bring the front of your car up off the ground a little bit.
Experience.
You experimental?
Yeah. I actually forgot they were there. I was like, oh, speed humps in Boise. Hit them at 25 miles an hour. It does make you feel it.
So then do we have to include signs, like, especially like motorcycles?
I think they have a speed bump sign adjacent.
Yeah, you'll have to have signage on them.
When it snows there, you can't see them, so you gotta.
I wouldn't be riding my motorcycle.
Perfect. All right. Next, resolution 2025-08, resolution of the city of Payette adjusting sanitation fee rates.
I have a question right off the bat, and it's probably for our attorney. When looking at something else today, I found that the public hearing was only for residential increases. Is that a problem if we're raising residential and commercial?
I'd have to look.
We don't control the commercial rates, I don't believe. We never
In
have.
our resolution,
It's always been in the fee schedule and I don't know why.
but then I went back and looked at old public hearing notices, just because that's what I do, and they say residential/commercial. So I just wanted to bring that up so we don't have any issues moving forward with that.
I think that's fair enough, and if it, I mean, we can renotice it up with that in there if you want, and then that way nothing can come back on you. It doesn't
Right.
hurt anything to do that, you know?
Worst case.
Because it
you
talks
have to
about
come back
commercial
and do it
overage
again.
fee in your last whereas in here too, so, yeah, I think that'd be the
Safest.
best, yeah, best practices, I guess, would be the way to say that. It's probably not gonna affect anything,
Nope.
but do it,
Probably won't.
cross your Ts and dot your Is.
You might as well do it now, because you'll have to do it again later if it is a violation, you know?
Yep.
To fix the violation, you're just gonna do it anyway, so might as well just do it now.
So we just need to table.
And we already know what all of it is, so it's easy enough to do. Just open it up for comment and go from there.
Well, I think we can probably just separate the two resolutions, honestly.
That we could pass the residential
Yeah,
fees
we could
right
totally
now.
do that.
Absolutely.
Because you've already discussed all that, and then you
Correct.
can just open another one on the, if
Correct.
there's a commercial, if that's changing from the past agreement.
Yeah, so just strike the implementation of the commercial overage fee.
And you could take the commercial out of the any commercial fees out of the fee schedule. And I don't know, Sarah was just asking me, I think it's a good question. I don't know why you need to have them in there if you're not the one collecting them.
But we set the rates, I believe.
Oh, okay. I thought Artie set the
I
rates.
think that's
No.
true, because when we.
Then why would we even have them in our fee schedule?
That's what I'm saying, like, if, honestly, like, to not even have to open it up again for commercial, if you just pass it for residential and then take out the referencing, because I was just looking in here, I don't know what line it is, but I just saw it.
I guess we'd have to make sure on that franchise agreement that it
Yeah.
doesn't state that.
And I'll look into that, but, as far as right now, you want to take that out, you don't need a reference to it if you're not
Correct.
discussing any of that or having any of it in your fee schedule, and then we can have a different commercial fee schedule if we need to.
We need it.
I'll look at that, and then we can decide if we need to.
Because otherwise they
get it
can
on the agenda.
just do their own
Yeah.
fee
I think
schedule.
they do, actually, because I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
They've always come to us. in all the years that I've been
Hopefully
here.
it's in there. We'd be nice to
They've
have
always
some kind
come
of
to us
control.
and increased residential and commercial rates.
I don't doubt they've always come in and
Yeah.
increased both, but I will definitely
Okay.
look into that. I think for passing this, I think the
Okay.
best idea would be to take out the commercial from this schedule and then just deal with the residential, and we can deal with commercial going forward.
To me, it looks like the first paragraph isn't for sanitation, it's for municipal water and
Yeah, it
municipal
does.
sewer.
So it's not even.
You're right.
So we ought to just
Yeah, that-
have a do-over.
Yeah, that needs change
Change?
in the resolution. Yeah, the resolution needs change either way. Yeah, because it should say instead of management and operation, it should be management and operation of sanitation, and then we need to put the citation to the code on that one.
We're not in any panic to do this. Let's fix it.
Yeah, I'll have it either both of them
Or
up
to
or
get started.
separated. How's that
Yeah.
before the next
We're
one?
already getting the rate.
That work?
That works.
No, you're not. So
No,
this
no.
rate
Not yet,
would have went
no.
into effect this month.
Because the rates are set by resolution.
Okay.
Just because they were attached to that agreement, that's why you guys got a resolution, because the fees are set by resolution.
Okay.
I don't know why it says
I don't
water
know either.
system, but we can, that's an easy change. I'll change it before the next one, and you guys
Okay.
can have it, yeah, that's
Thanks.
easy.
Cool.
There you go.
Okay. Next on the agenda, department reports, this is business license report and building permit report. Any questions on those?
Does that include the business license and building permits report?
No,
What?
we've only had 2 building permits.
Department reports, does that include,
Yeah, that's what you said.
yeah, did we only have really only have 2 residential building permits in 2025?
In September of 2025.
Okay, so how many did we have in 2025?
24.
24.
You're asking how many we've had all year for 2025, because we
That's-
haven't
that
seen
was what I was
reports,
asking,
so
yeah.
that's what we're asking.
Oh, okay.
That's what the business license report is,
Yes.
so that's what I
That's what I, yeah.
suspected the building permits was.
Staff's learning, but we can definitely
Okay.
figure out how to pull that report.
No more than 2. For 2025.
I've never been in this system, so I don't know if it's easy or not.
So the business license report was only supposed to be for September.
Okay.
But that's all you, I mean, that's pretty good on business license. All right, any other questions on those? All right, council comments.
I have 2. They're kind of significant. I apologize in advance. In the past, we've talked about the issue we have with updating the comprehensive plan. Our last comprehensive plan update took almost a year. It had a guy from Boise that got hired as a consultant to come in and do the process, and it was expensive and very, very time consuming. We can't do that every 5 years practically. So I think what we need to do is request that the planning and zoning department review Idaho Code 676508, which spells out what a comprehensive plan is, and ask them if there are any significant changes in the things spelled out in 676508 that would drive an update to the comprehensive plan. And then they can give us an updated proposed comprehensive plan, and we could pass it. Part of that probably should be the revised impact area that we voted on a few weeks ago too. That's number 1. Number 2, you asked me to look into the competitively disadvantaged border community area. So I wrote up a little sheet on the definition. So the first thing we'd have to do is decide if we fit the definition, which I don't think is a difficult decision at all. And then I've got a few comments in there about the size. It needs to be 40 acres. And I've got some information on what a city block is compared to an acre. And
Is it 40 acres total or 40 acres for the project?
a minimum of 40 acres to qualify as a disadvantaged
For
working
the
area.
total.
Yeah, you have to have 40 acres or more. And then probably the most significant part of it that I see is we have to have a plan, and the plan has to be very specific. So like the current urban renewal agency plan, we're going to finish that up hopefully this year. And the reason we're finishing it up is you can't change it. You know, you set out what you're going to do, you accomplish that, and then you're done. So we have to have a plan that's spelled out in terms that are specific enough you understand the concept, but general enough that you have some latitude in the execution. And in my view, we should have some very ambitious project items towards the end of the project when hopefully we're generating more incremental tax revenue. We should start out with the most affordable ones and end with some pie in the sky stuff that maybe we can't even afford by the time the project sunsets. That's just from experience with our one existing project.
I mean, 40 acres shouldn't be that hard to get when we're talking about downtown. Like
No, it's
40
not if it
acres from
blocks 5
there,
acres.
there, I mean,
Really, I think we'll have some discussions on where the line should be drawn, but I don't think it'll be hard at all.
I think that's great, Jim. I think the urban renewal should move forward on it and start planning. And then, so from what I understand of it, you guys create the original plan, present it to the council, and the council says, yeah, that sounds good, then it goes to planning and zoning. From what I understood of the rules.
That's one way it can be done, for sure.
Is there a different way that would be better?
Well, the ordinance, I don't have it sitting in front of me, but it says anyone can initiate a plan. So we could initiate plans in different ways. We've obviously got a downtown plan, a lot of detail already. So putting the plan together should be a collaborative project.
Okay. We could probably could we do a joint urban renewal planning and zoning and council meeting for a plan? Would that be too many people in the same room? Anybody?
I don't see,
At
I mean,
this-
as long as you're not violating open meeting laws, everybody puts it on the agenda and you show up. I don't know if everybody's gonna fit in here.
David?
What I would do is, I would start at the urban renewal board and get a recommendation from them, and have that recommendation come before this council. You and the council can give directives from that. That would be my recommendation. That way it's on record on how, the urban renewal board and the city council wants to proceed. Planning and zoning is an advisory board, so they're gonna take the directives from, what comes from those two boards as recommendation.
Yeah, so I think start with urban renewal, have a meeting and
Yeah, I think
pass it out.
there's a whole lot of information, we don't have, so we need to learn.
Did something in my head is telling me they changed the rules on forming an urban renewal? Do you have to have voter approval, or is that something else? Okay, that is part of
So
it
the
now.
urban renewal body, it's not body for the statute.
Agency.
The urban renewal agency already exists.
But just for that, isn't that how it's
Yeah, I was
wrote?
talking about, well, we have two different things going on. One is the city council has to decide that we fit the definition of a disadvantaged or community area. I think we could do that pretty easily, and that's one like ordinance. Then the plan and setting up the incremental tax revenue district and all that kind of stuff would be a lot more complex ordinance that we would do later. But we take the first step pretty quick and develop a plan which would take voter approval
Okay.
later.
See, that's not the way that I read the
Yeah,
ordinance.
but it changed
But
quite a few years back, because when we formed the urban renewal district over here, we didn't have to have voter approval, but we went through an extensive plan to do
In the
it.
statute, there's two things. You have the urban renewal agency, and you have the urban renewal district. So I didn't see anywhere in statute that said if the agency was formed prior to the new rule of having to be voted, I couldn't find it anywhere in the statute that says the urban renewal agency sunsets with the district.
I think we're talking about two different things, and,
Well, you're talking about an urban renewal agency requires a vote to exist now.
To form the district.
To form the agency, not the district, the statute. So we read the statute, if you don't agree,
I don't know,
Let's
that's
talk
why
about it.
I brought it up, that's why I'm asking.
I will have to look at the statute, but that's something I can answer for you.
Yeah. Because something got way more complicated than how we did it
well,
before.
it kind of makes
Yes.
sense that since you're,
Yeah.
it makes sense that since you're spending taxpayer money and you're routing taxpayer money to a certain location to spend it on, that it would take voter approval. So I think setting up the district would take voter approval, but
Yeah.
we don't need to hypothesize. because
Yeah, we can
haven't-
find, that one has an answer, I haven't looked at it. But
thank you, Jim, go forth, final one. Mike?
The new apartments on 7, I don't know if we have a code for this or not, but they have put their mailboxes in Home Depot buckets filled with gravel. Is there a code for that?
I think the
post
post office would be the one that's enforcing that.
Well, it's our sidewalk and there's a row of, there must be half a dozen Home Depot, but,
They actually do have to have their mailboxes in the, thing.
oh, they're going to, like we have in our HOA.
Yes, with the key and the.
So that they're there, they're
They
temporary.
just haven't done it yet.
Probably build a pad behind the sidewalk.
Wherever the post office tells them to put it.
Wherever the post office tells them to put it, and then I would go out and make sure that wherever they put it, they have the 4 foot. That's all I'm looking for is radius passing.
The sidewalk, which they don't have now. Okay, because of the Home Depot buckets.
And they're all
facing
forward.
Yeah. The second thing, I went to the candidate forum and I was disappointed to hear candidates for city council refer to the city council as an advisory board.
me too.
Me too.
I hope that those that are seeking, the position, there's a real good, AAIC puts roles and responsibilities out that I read all the time, and I don't have a, that's a good idea though. So I hope that the candidates take a look at that. The city council is not an advisory board. In fact, we're not subservient to anybody except the electors. That's the only people we answer to, in theory. Yeah, Congress. Even if Congress comes by, they can't boss us around in our jurisdiction. I had a couple money things that I wanted to talk about. The first is I wanted to talk again about the water revenue that went back to the homeowners up in our neighborhood.
So I'm actually, can we put that as an agenda item, or are you looking for action on it?
No, I'm not looking for any action. It's just a statement. I called down here, I learned that 258 houses were affected. I assumed that those 258 houses got the same $60 discount that I did, or a water discount. I didn't see any heads nod, so I assumed that. That's $15,000, almost $15,500 of, I don't know if it was spread across water and wastewater, or if it just came out of one fund, but that's a lot of money for the council to never have talked about it. And I think if the council had talked about it, I mean, I can only speak for myself, I would have probably supported that, because I think it was, I don't think it was a bad idea, but I just don't understand how these things get done and by one person or two persons or whatever, and it's never brought in front of the council. I mean, God, we talked about a towed vehicle 2 months ago that we had to decide what we were going to do about that. You would think if we're asked to make decisions like that, we would at least have the respect to make a $15,000 refund that affects our revenues. So I don't need any action on that. I just wanted to say that. I also wanted to talk about the enterprise funds for a minute. 4 years ago, the council, I think most of us, with the exception of Jim, was here and we did a study and we found that we couldn't fund any of or a lot of the projects that we needed to fund. We needed to increase our rates, and it was painful. It was something if I could have found any other thing to do, I would have done it. Water and wastewater. And so in 2021, we passed a resolution that over the next 3 years would raise water rates 160% over 3 years and wastewater rates 80% over 3 years. And that resolution, and that was, I think it was January 2024, we'd have that done. So that's where we are now. And so, that was all done for infrastructure. And now we find that in our enterprise funds, we're transferring $100,000 from both water and wastewater for the administration of those funds back to the general fund. Additionally, we're funding 4 administrative employees that are split between the general fund, wastewater, and water. And additionally to that, and that's all for administration, and additionally, we have 2 employees that are fully funded by the water and wastewater for administration. Am I wrong about that?
No, but did you go back to 23 to see how much?
No, but
how much
am I wrong? Am I wrong about the money that is going to administration?
Absolutely. In the 2026 budget, you can see where the money actually comes from and where it goes. If you go back to 2023, you cannot.
Okay, so that's a yes.
I was an absolutely, actually.
And so this adds up to a total of about $250,000 from water and wastewater that go toward administration. Maybe that's reasonable. It doesn't seem reasonable to me, so all I ask is that some future council meeting, we talk about that. And I will never vote for another water or wastewater raise until we get that. I don't know. I'd like to have the discussion. Maybe the council could convince me that $250,000, $500,000 to administer those 2 enterprise funds is reasonable. And then as far as the 2 new full-time employees, I would like the discussion to further talk about is there a job description for these employees? What are their tasks? Have they changed from when they were being funded from the 3 funds?
They were never funded from admin. How do you not understand this? Go back to the budgets. They were in the water and sewer. Yes, they were, and so was mayor and council. Come on, guys, you guys are hitting on a point that is false.
You want this?
I think the best way to do this is just set this up.
Yeah,
for a
that's all I'm,
discussion,
that's all I'm
and
asking.
Bring
This is
in,
not something that should be discussed in council comments. We're circumventing the ordinance, the public open meeting process, and we're circumventing agendas in these council members' comments by doing that.
I disagree. I'm asking for a discussion.
And council member, that's perfectly okay to disagree. In my experience, what I'm saying is, this should not be discussed if it's not on an agenda.
I agree with him, in the sense.
And we're not having a discussion. All I'm asking is that we bring it back to a council meeting.
That's not what you asked.
Well,
That wasn't?
That's not what you asked.
Okay.
I think
I
either
thought
way,
that-
there's no reason to, if you wanna have something discussed on it, that way there's, I think it's gonna run a lot more smoothly is if somebody wants to discuss something, instead of saying, we're gonna bring it up in council comments or mayor comments, and we're just gonna basically steamroll the other person or whoever it may be, one side or the other. You guys are gonna do a much better job, and it's gonna comport with open meetings if both of you, whatever side it is, if the mayor wants to discuss something, there's a discussion item. We have discussion items on here, and I think the same thing should go. If council wants to discuss something, instead of discussing it at the end, the problem with that is you can have people that go and look at the agenda, and it's not on there, it's just council comments. And they wanted to sit, they might want to hear this. They might already left based on what's on the agenda. And then we have an open meeting law nightmare, and we have to reset this to have the same dang discussion we're having right now. So when we want to have discussions about past things that have already been decided that were on an agenda with the public meeting, let's bring them back up the exact same way we introduced them before. We'll put it on the agenda. The public will have a chance to participate if they want, and we won't be running afoul anymore or getting close to running afoul. There's no reason. We want a transparent government that everybody sees, and we have to have that on the agenda as far as I'm concerned. So if we want to discuss these type of things, I've seen it happen a couple of times where we go back and discuss things that have already come in front of the council or the mayor, and the better way and the appropriate way to do that, the legal way to do that, would be to put it on the agenda. That way, if the public wants to hear it, they can come in and hear it, and they know what's going to be on the agenda. That's the only, it's more of almost a administrative issue, if you want to say, because we want the public to have the opportunity to come in and listen to these discussions and know what's going to be talked about at certain different points. Okay.
You could have quit a while ago. You had me convinced a long time ago.
I'm a lawyer. I talk. I mean,
I heard Mike ask for a discussion.
Yeah. No, Mike, he did ask for the discussion. I just think what's happening is we're discussing it while we're asking for the discussion.
I think you're right.
The open meeting
I think you're
where it
right.
says this is what we're going to discuss.
I think you're right. I think you're right also.
Just like your streetlights discussion we had today, exact
Yeah.
same thing.
Any other council comments?
I do. It's not a discussion. I would like to thank the police for their dedication to all the work that they did to convict that sex offender, because I knew that took a lot of hard work and dedication, so thank you guys very much. And I know you have some other hard cases out there, and I appreciate you very much. And I would like to put on the agenda for a discussion, instead of passing out this beautiful spreadsheet that I made. I compared the wages of 24 and 25 and the difference in what the overall percentage came out to be. And so I have that I would like to bring forth next time.
Staff will get it on the agenda. Any other council comments? Mayor's comments. I also was disappointed that the candidates for council set an advisory board. The other thing that I was disappointed with their statement is about the hiring and firing and wage increases or merit increases are not the mayor's role and responsibility. Where they are. They are the mayor's role and responsibility. But they'll learn, and as we all have. There is another thing that I heard that got back to me about a comment that I don't allow you to go talk to department heads. I have never had that policy. There was a policy back in the early 2020s that was a policy that counselors couldn't go talk to department heads. I have never told you not to, and I encourage you to, because if you don't know what they're doing, then how can you really budget for them? So, if you've never been to a sewer plant, probably go. Never seen a well, probably a good idea to set that up. I do hope they set that up early next year, depending on what happens in November. But we did that when I first got on in 2020, and I thought it was great for the counselors. And then it's going to be required, but yeah.